The desert winds once carried the image of a man who appeared untouchable. Saddam Hussein, president of Iraq, commander of armies, master of palaces gilded with gold, was feared by enemies and revered by supporters. But beneath the marble floors of his palatial halls, behind the iron gates of his fortified compounds, lay shadows that history dared not fully illuminate. The harem. The mistresses, the deadly secrets that intertwined sex, power, and betrayal. For decades, the world focused on Saddam, the dictator, Saddam, the aggressor. Saddam, the tyrant who defied America and waged wars across the Middle East. But what few dared whisper what investigators began piecing together only after his fall in 2003 was the hidden empire of pleasure and control he built behind closed doors. Women lured by promises of wealth and status. Others forced, coerced, or silenced forever. And woven through it all, a family drunk on power, consumed by paranoia, and willing to kill to protect their secrets. This is not the story of a dictator's rise and fall told in speeches and battles. This is the story of Saddam Hussein's most intimate, forbidden demona, scandalous web of harems, mistresses, and deadly secrets. And it begins in the very place where he first learned to use fear as currency. Tikrit, Iraq. Born in 1937 in the rough tribal town of Tikrit, Saddam's childhood was shaped by violence and survival. His father disappeared before he was born. His stepfather was abusive. At just 10 years old, Saddam fled home, clutching a revolver as if destiny demanded it. Violence became not only his shield, but his language. By the late 1960s, Saddam was not just a man of ambition, he was a man obsessed with control. He climbed through the Ba'ath Party ranks by orchestrating purges, eliminating rivals with calculated ruthlessness. When he seized Iraq's presidency in 1979, television cameras broadcast a chilling scene. Saddam reading out names of supposed traitors during a party congress. As security dragged them out to their The message was clear: Saddam Hussein would rule Iraq with fear. But alongside this rise to absolute power grew another hunger. The pursuit of women. His first wife, Sahida Talfa, was both cousin and childhood sweetheart. They married in 1963, and she bore him several children, including his notorious sons, Uday and Qasay. Yet marriage for Saddam was never about fidelity, it was about appearances, legitimacy, and tribal alliances. Behind closed doors, he sought others, often women who would find themselves unable to refuse. The most famous of Saddam's mistresses was Samira Shabander, a glamorous doctor's daughter. Their relationship began in the 1980s, when Saddam was already married. He fell deeply for her, openly declaring her his second wife. Samira became his confidant, the woman who traveled with him discreetly while his first wife was forced into silence. This affair sparked a storm inside the ruling family. Sajida, the first wife, resented Samira fiercely. But it was Uday, Hussein, Saddam's eldest son, who took the rivalry to violent extremes. Uday viewed Samira's son, Ali, as a potential rival to his inheritance. According to testimonies after 2003, Uday ordered beatings, assaults, even murders to intimidate anyone who dared speak about his father's relationship. And Samira was only one among many. Former insiders later revealed that Saddam maintained a rotating circle of mistresses, singers, beauty queens, even foreign women. Some came willingly, seduced by wealth, diamonds, and villas in Baghdad's elite districts. Others were coerced, threatened with violence against their families if they resisted. Western intelligence reports, declassified years later, painted a picture of Saddam's secret harem hidden inside the Republican palace. Rooms filled with luxury, French wine, despite his public image as a devout Muslim. European lingerie delivered discreetly, and guards who ensured no woman ever left without permission. The most chilling accounts came after Saddam's downfall. Women who escaped Iraq told journalists about pleasure squads managed by Saddam and his sons. Young women, sometimes barely in their late teens, were selected, groomed, and forced into the dictator's orbit. Refusal was not an option. Some vanished, others resurfaced years later, broken, unwilling to speak on record. No scandal around Saddam can be told without his sadistic son, Uday, groomed as heir apparent. Uday's reputation for brutality was legendary. He was accused of raping young women snatched from Baghdad's streets, often after spotting them at nightclubs or even weddings. His private militia enforced his whims. Uday saw his father's harem as a playground. He competed with Saddam, claiming women his father desired, killing rivals in jealous fits. In 1988, at a party in Egypt, Uday murdered his father, his trusted valet and food taster, with a club in front of horrified guests. Allegedly, because the man introduced Saddam to an attractive woman, Uday himself wanted. The intertwining of father and son's lusts blurred into horror. It was said within elite Baghdad circles that to be beautiful was dangerous. Rumors spread of daughters of officials being summoned to the palace, never to return the same. Saddam's sexual appetites were not separate from his politics, they were an extension of them. To grant or deny access to the dictator was a tool of control. A general's daughter offered to Saddam became a form of tribute. An actress granted a role after visiting his palace reinforced the myth of his generosity. But those who resisted, they often paid with their lives. Reports emerged of women executed after refusing Saddam, their deaths staged as accidents. In one chilling account, an Iraqi singer who spurned his advances was found dead in a car crash, her family silenced by threats. CIA analysts in the 1990s collected whispers of this hidden world. But during Saddam's reign, little could be verified. It wasn't until U.S. troops stormed Baghdad in 2003 that fragments of evidence surfaced. Diaries, testimonies, and abandoned rooms filled with expensive perfumes, silk sheets, and imported alcohol. When Saddam's regime collapsed in April 2003, looters stormed his palaces. They found gold-plated fixtures, Rolex watches, entire rooms filled with women's clothing and cosmetics. The image of Saddam's harem, once whispered in fear, now lay bare in public scandal. Captured in a dirt cellar near Tikrit in December 2003, Saddam appeared disheveled, far from the image of the iron-fisted ruler. During interrogations, he was defiant, dismissing accusations of brutality. But investigators pressed, asking about his hidden pleasures, the mistresses, the harem. Saddam denied everything. Yet the testimonies mounted from ex-bodyguards, mistresses who fled abroad, and defectors who risked their lives to speak. Some described parties in underground bunkers, where alcohol flowed despite sanctions that left Iraqis starving. Others spoke of Saddam gifting diamond necklaces to young lovers, even as hospitals lacked basic medicine. The contrast was staggering. A dictator who presented himself as the guardian of Arab pride, secretly indulging in decadence while his nation suffered under war and sanctions. Even today, much remains shrouded in mystery. How many women were trapped in Saddam's harem? How many were killed to protect his secrets? The answers lie buried with witnesses silenced by fear or death. But one thing is certain. Saddam's legacy is inseparable from these scandals. His harem was not just personal indulgence, it was another theater of terror, where intimacy was weaponized and betrayal was punished with blood. In 2006, Saddam Hussein was hanged for crimes against humanity. Convicted for the 1982 massacre of 148 men and boys, and his trial focused on political atrocities. Yet behind those charges lay other crimes, never tried in court: crimes of lust, coercion, and murder within his private chambers. The world remembers Saddam's downfall as the result of wars, sanctions, and an American invasion. But whispers inside Iraq suggested another truth, that his unchecked appetites, his harem, his family's scandals, eroded his power from within. Enemies within the Ba'ath Party resented the humiliation of offering their daughters. Families torn apart by Uday's violence nursed hatred. Each scandal chipped away at the fear that once sustained him. So the haunting question remains. Did Saddam fall because of politics and war, or because his darkest secrets consumed him from the inside? As the noose tightened around his neck in December 2006, Saddam looked into the eyes of his executioners and refused to beg. But perhaps the greater trial had already taken place. In the memories of those women silenced, those secrets buried. His dictatorship ended on the gallows, but the scandal of his harem still lingers like a ghost across Iraq's history.